Injuns are my friends. They taught me all I know about the woods. They taught me how to follow a trail by watching the leaves, and how to cut your mark on a tree so you won't get lost in the forest. And they taught me how to bury in the snow so you won't freeze to death in storms. And they taught me how to make a fire without even a flint. And they taught me how to make the best bow and arrows, too.
Did they teach you how to make pant boosters?
No, that's one of their own secrets. Well, boys, I guess we better get going.
You remember, Bill, that time up on the Snake River?
Oh, I do.
Say, boy, I want to know about old Ben Grizzly. I hear the Indians downed him.
Only it wasn't Injuns downed him. It was renegade whites done it.
How come?
He'd been wolfing all winter.
Yeah?
Must have had $2,000-3,000 worth of wolf pelt.
Oh, easy, Ben.
He was hacked up and stuck full of arrows. It looked like Injun work, all right. The wolf pelt was gone. If ever I find them hellhounds, I'll sure make them hunt their holes.
Well. No, Bess. Who's that young bucko with no hair on his face?
That's Brett Coleman. He very quick with his knife.
Where does he come from?
He come from the plains, the mountains. He live with the Indians.
Let the stream out one more time.
Injun?
No, Bess. Try a long shot at him.
No fire! They're Cheyenne. They want to palaver.
Oh, they look to me as if they're out for half.
They will be if we take a shot at them. That'll mean war. I'll go out and palaver with them. This is Black Elk, an old friend of mine.
Do they mean peace or war?
Peace, as long as they march straight through the Cheyenne country without stopping to settle. Bah. They'll bring their families over here to beg. So feed them well and treat them right. Don't worry, it's Black Elk and some of his braves.
Coleman squaw.
Were you saying that I'm your squaw?
Seems like that's what he's driving at.
Well, you tell him that you don't want me for your squaw.
I've never told Black Elk a lie yet. He knows my tongue is straight.
What do you mean?
Well, it wouldn't be true if I told him I didn't want you. It happens I do.
We here have little chance for glory or advancement, while some of our brother officers are leading their well-publicized campaigns against the great Indian nations, the Sioux and the Cheyenne. We are asked to ward off the gnat stings and flea bites of a few cowardly Digger Indians.
Your pardon, Colonel. You'd hardly call Apaches Digger Indians, sir.
You'd scarcely compare them with the Sioux, Captain.
No, I don't. The Sioux once raided into Apache territory. Old-timers told me you could follow their line of retreat by the bones of their dead.
I suggest the Apache has deteriorated since then, judging by a few of the specimens I've seen on my way out here.
Well, if you saw them, sir, they weren't Apaches.
We'll discuss the Apache at some other time, Captain. My compliments on the completeness of this report. It speaks a knowledge of the savage Indian which I am sure you did not acquire at the military academy. I call it to your attention that in taking my daughter riding without bespeaking my permission, you have been guilty of behavior more consistent with that of an uncivilized Indian. Mr. Meacham, a band of Indians has left the reservation.
That's right. That Diablo and 30 others, the ungrateful dogs. I treat them well. I have goods for them to buy. Knives, calico.
Cheap, shoddy trash.
No. Mr. Colonel Thursday, you know how children are. They like their bright toys.
Winchester 7-shot repeaters are not
Captain
toys,
York,
Meacham.
I am attempting to question Mr. Meacham.
Yes, sir.
Right, sir.
And there's no reason, to your knowledge, why a band of Apaches should go on the warpath?
Not the warpath. Misguided, maybe. Like wayward children, mister.
2 of my troopers are dead. Tortured to death.
Not by my Apaches. Some other raiding party, perhaps. How can you be sure?
We've taken Diablo and his band. What's left of them? They'll be here soon.
And you'll keep them here. You'll assign a troop to keep them here. That's what I've been telling Mr. York right along, and I leave it to you. How can I, one lone man, be responsible for all these savages? To York,
you really mouth.
Captain York. Mr. Meacham, as a representative of the United States government, will be treated with due respect.
May I say something, sir?
What is it?
No troop or squadron or regiment's gonna keep the Apaches on this reservation unless they want to stay here. 5 years ago, we made a treaty with Cochise. He and his Chiricahuas and some of the other Apache bands came on the reservation. They wanted to live here in peace, and did for 2 years. And then Meacham here was sent by the Indian Ring.
That's a lie. I've
The
been
dirtiest,
endorsed.
most corrupt political group in our history. And then it began. Whiskey but no beef. Trinkets instead of blankets. The women degraded, the children sickly, and the men turning into drunken animals. So Cochise did the only thing a decent man could do. He left, took most of his people, and crossed the Rio Bravo into Mexico.
He broke his treaty.
Yes, rather than stay here and see his nation wiped out.
The law is the law, and I demand that you soldier boys enforce it.
We're at peace with the Apache. We have a treaty.
Yes, ma'am. We broke that treaty. Us whites. There's no word in the Apache language for lie, and they've been lied to. And if they rise, there won't be a white left in the territory.
They won't bother me. Us, I mean. We always got along very well.
Apaches are mad.
Well, I have nothing to worry about, I'm sure.
Nice to be sure.
He was so delighted with that whistle you made for him.
Glad to hear it. He and I got along just fine.
It's more like a flute than a whistle. It ranges almost the full scale.
I learned to make them when I was living with a mescalera. My squaw used to make them for every kid in the lodge.
You lived with the Apache,
5 years.
and you had an Indian wife.
Wife, squaw.
Must have been very interesting, living with the Apache.
I liked it.
This Indian wife you have.
Had. She's dead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring up an unhappy memory.
I can't remember anything I'm happy about. Distardi.
Distardi. How musical. What does it mean?
You can't say it except in Mescalero. It means mourning. But that isn't what it means either. It means more than just that. Indian words mean the sound and feel of a word, like crack of dawn, first bronze light that makes the butte stand out against the gray desert. Or the first sound you hear of a brook hurling over some rocks with trout jumping. It's like when you get her and you go out of a wickiup where it smells kind of smoky and private, just you and her, and kind of safe with just the two of you. Stand outside and feel the bite of the first wind coming down from the high divide. Promises snowfall. Yeah. Can't say it in English, but that was her name. Just started. You remind me of her some.
Of an Indian girl? Was she fair?
Her hair was black as 10 feet down. Did you ever see a crow's wing, how black and gleaming it is?
Yes.
That's the way her hair shines.
But if she was dark and I'm fair...
Why you reminded me of her?
Yes.
I don't know. I've thought about it. You don't look anything like her.
I am fully aware that I am a homely woman, Mr. Lane.
Oh, I didn't mean that. I got a bad habit of telling the truth, but being pretty isn't much. I know a lot of pretty people I wouldn't trust with a busted nickel-plated watch. But some others, something comes out of the inside of them, and you know you can trust them. Distardi had that.
Hi, Emberado. You didn't die, did you?
Hello, Johnny.
Be careful.
I want to show you something, Emberado. My Indian emblem. Victoria gave it to me. Didn't he, Mom?
He's taken a great liking to Johnny.
Indians place great value on male children.
They also place a great value on dying well. Did Ed die well?
I keep it under my pillow.
He died well.
When Johnny's old enough, when he has to be told, it will make him proud.
Here it is, Emperado. I'm a chief now. Isn't it wonderful?
Look at the moon. How odd it looks in this quarter. When I was a child, my mother used to tell me it was a teeter-totter. You know, the tilted plank a child plays on. I suppose the Indians have a word for it.
Yeah, Bermarga. It's a planting moon. Indians won't plant their corn unless the moon's like that.
You liked living with the Apache, didn't you?
You are Apache. Now hear me. Pony soldiers are near. Soon will be fought a remembered fight. They will come here first. You will not go with them, white man.
I will not.
You have good men. Treasure him.
I love you. I suppose I shouldn't have said that, with my husband dead so short a time.
I don't guess people's hearts got anything to do with a calendar.
You were so wonderful, refusing to lie for Vittorio.
Oh, he was testing me. Indians hate lies. And I guess I got to feel the same way, but once in a while a fella's got to lie if it'll make it easier on someone else.
You people are lucky. Obviously, Vittorio and his renegade band just happened not to find this hidden valley.
Vittorio's been here lots.
And you live? One lone man stood off Vittorio?
No lone man stands off the Apache. He lets us live here.
There are almost 100 dead settlers in the basin. Scalp of this cowardly criminal.
Well, Vittorio may be a criminal by the books, I don't know. But if he's a coward, it hasn't showed up yet.
Amen,
I must disagree with you, Mr. Lane. He's run before us for 200 miles.
Indians have a story they tell their young ones. About a hunter who chased a wildcat until he caught it, then it was the other way around.
The story goes back further than the Indians. It's originally attributed to the first Roman army to enter Tartary. The soldier caught a Tartar and yelled out, and the officer called back for him to come in with his prisoner. And he replied, "The Tartar won't let me." I want you to accompany us as far as Twin Buttes. Haven't any time to lose, so I'd be obliged if you'd saddle up.
I'm not going.
You're not going?
That's right.
But why?
Gave my word.
Your word to whom?
Vittorio.
Surely a word given to an Indian desperado wouldn't be enough.
Mister, when I give my word, I keep it. Now I'll give you a piece of advice. There's only one family between here and Twin Buttes, and you're too late to do them any good. So you better gather up what settlers you have and hightail it out of here.
Sir, I have my orders, and these orders will be executed. Ma'am?
Prepare to mount! Mount! Forward! Ho!
What do you find that's so interesting about this miserable country?
Used to own a cattle spread over there.
You were a rancher?
Yep. 2,000 head of longhorn.
Indians run you out?
Nope. There weren't any trouble then. Not a few years ago. Something stirring them up now.
Drought get you?
My wife died. Hold it. That's Indian sign.
Yeah.
paint does not jug much damage. Mind if I help myself?
Go ahead.
Snuff?
Cigar man.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Bury them guns, huh? That was smart. Real inspectorial. 6 crates of rifles. Yeah. You figured somebody might just take them on approval, huh?
Could have cooked the goose that lays the golden eggs.
Well, how's that?
Well, if I hadn't made the right contact here, I'd have to sell the rest of them someplace else.
I'll give you $100 for every gun you got.
I understand the Comanches pay 5 times that much. What's this?
Just leave that be. If I'd had that then, I wouldn't have this now. You ever try dealing with the Comanche direct?
Can't say that I have.
Well, I did. They took everything I had to sell, and they went after this.
What stopped them?
Comancheros. Fellas I'm dealing with now. And by that crimson setting sun, peace come to Forest Glade. And of the Redskins they was none. The history had been made.
Hold on here, Big Chief. Well, I think we can afford one cigar.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
If they keep this up, they'll save the Rangers in trouble and probably kill themselves all along.
Bolsonaro! Pretty man from the boat.
Gonna get awful thirsty around here. You better think of a new plan, Jake. Water. There's some water.
All right.
Oh!
I want to know by whose authority you let those Indians stay in town. Those savages are wards of the government, and I am the representative of
I
that government.
told Sheriff Lord that he could put them up down by the clay side.
Because the town's named after him, he thinks he owns it.
Well, you check the books in the recorder's office, and you'll find I do own a fair piece of it. Agard, if you knew anything about Indians, you'd know that they're doing their level best to put up with our so-called benevolent patronage, in spite of the nincompoops that have been put in charge of it.
Those Indians need my permission to leave the reservation.
Those chiefs have been giving orders all their lives. It's pretty hard for them to understand that they have to hold up their hand like a schoolboy in a classroom.
I don't like it, Mr. McClintock. I don't like it one bit.
What don't you like?
They're planning to hang an Indian.
Hold that! Not so fast, Mr. Boss of the whole country. Unless you want to wear a big hole in your middle, forward, Mike.
Now, we'll all calm down. I haven't lost my temper in 40 years. But, Pilgrim, you caused a lot of trouble this morning. Might have got somebody killed. And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I won't.
Oh, Markland! I walk down the street and some wiseacre will call me an Indian, and just like that, the fight's on.
Davy, the letter It's for you.
And you are an Indian.
Oh, Backlund! Oh, Backlund!
Oh, running buffalo!
Oh, Backlund!
Sheriff, are you gonna camp these savages with all these settlers? You're asking for trouble.
Hello, Mr. Macklin.
Tiny Mouse, it's nice to see you. Yatahe.
Yatahe.
Puma, honored enemy.
There's Big McClintock forget, also blood brother.
No, I'll never forget that.
All wound. Does it hurt still?
I feel it when it comes on to rain. An inch higher and I wouldn't have had to worry.
Our Big McClintock, that was remembered fight. We return with news. Our people have more trouble. You see, I learned good English now, Big McClintock. Learned in white man's jail. But we would have you talk our cause at government hearing.
Could I impose upon you to use your Comanche to tell...
The Comanches speak English very well.
Your people will have to follow my instructions to the letter. It is the law of the land... Hold on, just a minute.
Never mind talking to strangers.
Davy's not a stranger. He clerks in Burnbaum.
He's an Indian.
How come you know they're going to get in here today?
Because I told him to be here today, that's why.
Still a long ways to Oklahoma, John Henry. Anything could happen.
Not to Blue Boy, it won't.
I'll be damned. Looky yonder.
Hello, Two Toes. How's your wife?
Pregnant.
What, again?
Cold winter.
How are you, McCartney?
Any trouble? Nope. Lost track of time, though. I reckon I'm a day early or a day late.
You're 4 days late, but they don't know it. How are things at home?
Bad. Like everywhere else, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I guess we better get organized.
What can I do for you?
Well, it isn't what you can do for us. We came to warn you that you're probably riding into a bandit ambush.
How do you happen to know that?
Well, Blue Boy here's a full-blooded Cherokee. When he suspects something, you usually get it.
There's 40 to 60 riders moving parallel to you, just out of sight.
Is that Indian boy really your adopted son?
Yes, but I'm as proud of him as if he were my own blood.
Your Indian friend rode out of here last night with no explanation. He hadn't returned. One false move on your part and my men won't miss.
Friend, your men have been missing me for years. As far as that Indian boy is concerned, his father was Bold Eagle, one of the bravest warriors that ever rode a horse. And on top of that, he's my adopted son. And I haven't done this much explaining in years. Don't press me, Captain.
I was thinking about that girl.
What girl?
The Confederate colonel's daughter. The one named Charlotte.
She's a pretty girl. A little young, but pretty.
Henry, what are that Indian boy's intentions?
Probably disgraceful, Colonel. But it's not what he'll do to her. It's what she's done to him. What else? Nothing else, Colonel. We brought enough beef for White Buffalo's people to get by. I'll deliver the rest at the weekend if it's all right with you and with White Buffalo.
Chisholm's word.
I'm not interested in your opinion of Mr. Chisholm's word. Now, sir, I understand your problem, but you have to understand mine.
Would you mind explaining?
There are many problems attendant to running a territory as large as this one. I don't propose to dwell on them here and now.
Well, what do you propose to do here and now?
I've already done it. When I heard what happened to your cattle, I made arrangements for the delivery of another herd at a very good price.
Didn't take you very long.
I have to do what I feel is right for the Army and for the territory.
All right, Colonel, you don't have to put it in triplicate. I get the idea. White Buffalo?
Sergeant Braddock will escort you back to the reservation. That is all, White Buffalo. Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Straight away.
All right, follow me. Chisholm. Into the wagon, into the wagon. Hey, Indian! Chisholm, this changed nothing between us. You heard the Colonel, Blankethead, straight away.
Just a minute, Sergeant. You know who you're talking to?
Looks like an Indian to me.
He's a prince of the Comanche Nation.
I don't care if he's a king of Romania. The Colonel said straight away. Let's move it.
Hold on, Sergeant. Have a cigar.
What?
Have a cigar.
Don't mind.
One other thing you ought to know, Sergeant. You touch White Buffalo again and I'll kill you. Brace, you and Cass take care of the beef. That's quiet. Takes some getting used to.
It beats Aunt Martha and Baltimore.
There was land here for the taking, the keeping. You're willing to fight. Rustlers, disease, the land itself, Indians. One Indian in particular, Comanche chief named White Buffalo. The bravest man I ever knew.
Is he dead now?
Might as well be. He's pinned up on a piece of desert the government calls a reservation. It's the end of his way of life. Pretty good way, too.
You sound as if you're sorry for him, your enemy.
Well, I respect him. We're brothers. As close as your father and I were. Maybe even closer.
Well, Mr. Chisholm's changed with the times. He doesn't like to let on, but he cares. About the people here and in town. About the Indians and the territory. Well, he's independent. He likes to do things his own way, but he cares. Mr. Chisholm wants justice.